This is lesson 3-5D from the Algebra Readiness textbook. For today's lesson, you will need your notes packet and a sharpened pencil. Pause the video to work this first problem and gather your supplies. Come on back when you're ready to compare your answer to mine. In our previous lesson, you learned about dividing decimals. The first number, in this case 2 and 696 thousandths, is the number that goes under your division bracket. That is my dividend. Negative 4/10 is my divisor. I ignore my negative and positive signs and divide like I learned how to do in previous grades. I know that I cannot have a decimal in my divisor, so I move the decimal one place to the right so that it is right next to the division bracket. I do the same thing to my dividend, and I scooch it one place over to the right. I place my decimal straight up from there where my answer will go. Now I'm ready to solve using regular division. How many times does 4 go into 2? It doesn't, 0 times. So I write a 0 directly above the 2. How many times does 4 go into 26? The answer is 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. It's important to always line up all of your digits. Now I will subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. Then I'm going to bring down the 9. 4 goes into 29 7 times. Notice that 29 and the 7 is directly above the 9. 7 times 4 is 28. I subtract. I get 1. I bring down the 6. 4 goes into 16 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16, and it comes out even. 6 74/100 is my answer, but I need to go back and talk about what sign the answer should have. I have a positive number divided by a negative number, which means my answer is negative. Today's learning target is to use rules for multiplying and dividing decimals to solve one-step equations. Here are 3 problems. The format of these problems should look somewhat familiar to you. It's just that these problems involve decimals. The process and procedure you will use to solve these one-step equations is the same as the process you used in Chapter 2 and all of Chapter 3. Start by drawing a line down the equal sign. I look at my variable, which in this case is on the left side. My variable is being multiplied by 8/10. The inverse of multiplication is division. We show division using a fraction bar. We're going to divide both sides by 8/10, leaving x by itself isolated on the left side. On the right-hand side, I need to take 1 6/10 and divide it by 8/10. I cannot have a decimal in my divisor, so I move the decimal one place over in both of my numbers. Then I bring the decimal point straight up. Now I'm ready to divide 16 divided by 8. 8 doesn't go into 1, and 8 does go into 16 2 times. And it comes out even. My answer is 2. But wait, I have to decide if my answer is positive or negative 2. Negative 1 6/10 divided by a positive 8/10 is a negative 2/10. Just like solving all previous one-step equations, you're able to check that your answer is correct by replacing the x in the original problem with my solution of negative 2. 8/10 times 2, or times negative 2, equals -1 6/10. In this way, I'm guaranteed to have the right answer. I would like you to pause the video and try the remaining 2 problems on this page. Come on back and compare your answers to mine. One 1/1500 divided by 2 3/10. I need to move the decimal over 1 place because I cannot have a decimal in my divisor. 23 does not go into 1. 23 does not go into 11. 23 goes into 115. Now, sometimes I like to think I use estimation to figure out how many times. 23 is close to 25. 100 and 115 is close to 100. 25 goes into 100 4 times. So I'm going to try 4 times 23. And I get 92. Then I'm going to try 5 times. Oh, it looks like 5 times is the ticket. But at least it gave me a starting point. So my answer is 5/10. Now I need to ask myself, is it positive or negative 5/10? When I look at this original problem, I have 1 1/1500 divided by 2 3/10. Both numbers are positive, and so my answer should also be positive. In letter C, I divide both sides by 9/10, negative 9/10. Then I write my problem as a side problem, 81 and 81/100 divided by 9/10. Again, I cannot have a decimal in my divisor, so I move the decimal point 1 place to the right in both numbers. Then I bring my decimal point straight up. 9 does not go into 8. 9 goes into 81 9 times. Then I bring down the 8. 9 does not go into 8, so I need to bring down the next one. 9 goes into 81 9 times. My answer is 90 and 9/10. Then I need to decide if my answer should be positive or negative. A negative divided by a negative gives me a positive answer. This one I want you to put a star by, because this is an identical question to one you will encounter on your test. Write and solve an equation to find the number of minutes of long-distance calls you made. Round to the nearest tenth if necessary. Be sure to label your answer. You pay 7 cents. Everybody underline 7 cents, and make sure that when you're writing 7 cents, you write it as 0.07, 7 cents. The most common mistake made is that kids want to say 7 and not write it as a decimal. You pay 7 cents per minute for long-distance phone calls on your phone. The long-distance portion of your bill is $5.73. Restate the question by defining your variable. Well, my variable is right here, minutes, because that's what I'm trying to find out. How many minutes of long-distance calls? Then we have to make a plan to solve. Well, I know that for every minute I was on the phone, I was being charged by the phone company 7 cents. So 7 cents plus 7 cents plus 7 cents. Well, I'm repeatedly adding 7 cents. That's the same as multiplication. 7 cents times the number of minutes equals $5.73. I have my equation, and now I'm ready to solve. I divide both sides by 7 cents. Then I need to do a side problem. 5.73 divided by 0.07. I can't have a decimal in my divisor, so I move it 2 places right in both numbers. 7 goes into 5, it doesn't. 7 goes into 57, 8 times. Then I subtract. Now I'm going to bring down the 3. 7 goes into 13, 1 time. Now I'm at a spot where I'm out of numbers, so I add a 0 at the end of my number. 7 goes into 60, 8 times. 8 times 7 is 56. Add another 0. 7 goes into 40, 5 times. Then I need to add another 0. 7 goes into 50, 7 times. Boy, I'm running out of room here for you. And here's where I can stop, because it told me to round to the nearest tenth. I should have stopped before that, actually. To round to the nearest tenth, I'm rounding this number, so I look at the 5. The 5 tells me to round up, and so I would say 81 and 9/10 minutes. Let's try these study guide problems, because these questions are going to be on your quiz, and you have a quiz tomorrow or in your next lesson. If I were you, I would pause the video, try these 3 because they are replica questions to what you will see on your quiz, and then come on back to see how well you've got this mastered. All right, I divide both sides by -4 and 8/10, and I get -1. For this problem, I need to divide both sides by -3 and 7/10. So, to run through this division again, some of you forget how to divide. I cannot have a decimal in a divisor, so I move it 1 place over, and I place my decimal straight up. 37 does not go into 1. 37 does not go into 18. 37 does go into 185 5 times, and it comes out even. So my answer is D equals 5. And I did a side problem over here. Then the last one, as promised, you pay 2 cents per minute. Remember, 2 cents is written as 0.02. 2 cents per minute for long-distance phone calls on your phone. Your phone bill is $2.77. Write and solve an equation to find the number of minutes M of long-distance calls made. Be sure to label your answer. I spent 2 cents per minute, and it equaled $2.77. Then I'm ready to solve my equation by dividing both sides by 2 cents. 277 divided by, I move the decimal point 2 places over and bring it straight up. 2 does not go, or 2 goes into 2 1 time. Then I bring down the 7. 2 goes into 7 3 times. 2 goes into 17 8 times. And what does it tell me to round to? It doesn't. Okay, bring down the 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times, and then it comes out even. So my answer is 138 and 5/10 minutes. All right, let's give this worksheet a try, and I encourage you to do the practice quiz so you're prepared for your test tomorrow.